Hi, this is Kevin at the Virtual Planetarium at Raritan Valley Community College. Welcome to our weekly Star Talk. Today we're going to talk about a few things we can see in the sky for the week of April 25th. And we also have a few updates about the Mars helicopter Ingenuity and the Crew Dragon 2 mission that launched to the ISS that we talked about last week. But first, let's talk about our moon. So we have full moon on April 26th. On May 3rd, we have the last quarter moon. And then on May 11th, we have our new moon. Cool thing about the April 26th moon is that it is a supermoon coming up. Now, a lot of times the media pushes the supermoon as it's going to be like super big and you're going to be able to see it really, really well. But in reality, there isn't that big a difference between a super full moon and a normal full moon. Just to give you a comparison, right here we have the supermoon coming up next on April 26th, and this is a full moon that we had last November, a normal full moon. And as you can tell, there is not that big of a difference. The difference is only about 3 arc minutes, which is definitely not something we can tell with just our eyes, but it is something that we can see with the telescope. So there is a difference in the size of the moon, but unfortunately it's not really something we can see with just our eyes. And like I said, the full moon is going to be April 26th, so if it's a clear night, go ahead and take a look outside. Now, I know you're probably tired of hearing us talk about the Mars helicopter, but we had our first successful flight on another planet. On April 19th, NASA successfully flew the Mars Ingenuity helicopter for a duration of 40 seconds at a peak altitude of about 10 feet. This was the first successful controlled flight on a whole other planet, so it was a very historic event. And then on April 22nd, we had a successful second flight. And this flight was a little bit longer. So the first flight, the helicopter flew up directly, turned around a little bit, and then came right back down. But on the second flight, it lasted a little bit longer. It was about 52 seconds, and it flew about 16 feet up in the air. And for this one, the helicopter actually moved forward for about 2 meters, or about 6 feet. NASA has about 5 more test flights planned for Ingenuity, so maybe we'll keep spamming you with news about this. Maybe not. We'll see what exciting news come from the red planet. Now let's talk about what stars we can see in the night sky. So I currently have the sky set up for April 25th, the Sunday night, at around 9:30 at night, and we are currently looking east. Once again, we're going to be using the Big Dipper to help us find a very bright star in the sky that belongs to a very prominent springtime constellation. I'm gonna highlight the Big Dipper for us again. In case you missed our last video, the Big Dipper is very easy to recognize and find because it has these 3 stars that make up the handle, and then the bottom part right here is the pot part of the Big Dipper. And last time we used the pot part of the Big Dipper to find Leo, and this time we're just going to be using the handle. So if we imagine that we extend the handle down, or if we follow that little arc of the handle, we say we arc to Arcturus. So if we follow that handle, we come to a very bright star called Arcturus. And Arcturus is a very bright star. It's the 4th brightest star in the sky, so it's definitely very easy to see, no matter even if you're in the city. And the Big Dipper just helps us find in what direction it is in the sky. Arcturus also has a reddish color, so a lot of people might confuse it with Mars, but using that handle of the Big Dipper and locating it helps us differentiate the two. Like I said, Arcturus belongs to a very prominent springtime constellation. That is the constellation of Boötes the Herdsman. This is supposed to be a person in the sky, but it really doesn't look like one, so if you need a little bit of help with your imagination, here we have Boötes the Herdsman. But the constellation really just looks like an ice cream cone, we say here at the planetarium, so we call this one just the ice cream cone if you'd like. Right next to Boötes, we have another group of stars that forms kind of like a little C shape. Right now it's a U shape, I guess, or backwards C. There's a little curve of stars in the sky right here. This is a whole other springtime constellation. Here's a little curve of stars. It's supposed to be a constellation called the Northern Crown, or Corona Borealis. So it's supposed to look a little something like this. But since we have an ice cream cone right next to it, we also like to joke and call it the ice cream scoop. So here we have the second scoop of ice cream that fell off the top of the cone, and that's always a shame, isn't it? So these are two springtime constellations that we can find very easily. Again, Arcturus is very easy to find, it's the fourth brightest star in the sky, and we can find it using the handle of the Big Dipper. You can just arc to Arcturus, and then next to that triangle of stars, we have a little scoop of ice cream right here that fell off the top of our ice cream cone. Now, in last week's talk, we said we had a launch happening on April 22nd. The launch was actually delayed until the morning of April 23rd. It was going to send some astronauts up into the International Space Station. That launch was successful, so here we have a video of the rocket countdown and the launch, sending these astronauts up into the space station. If you check out NASA's Twitter feed, there's also a bunch of cool videos of these astronauts just hanging out in the module out in space as they get to the International Space Station. I'm going to put the link down in the description, but the crew gives you a pretty neat tour of their module where they are hanging out and what they see while they are waiting to get to the International Space Station to perform the different science experiments. So that's also pretty neat. You can check that out. Here's a short little clip showing that, but I'll put the full video down in the description so you can check that out later. Thank you so much for joining us this week. We hope you learned something new. Try to find Arcturus in the sky next time you're outside and it's clear. Again, it's the fourth brightest star in the sky, so it's pretty easy to find. If you like this video, please give us a like and be sure to subscribe to our channel. We'll be coming out with new videos every week, talking about little short snippets of things we can see in the night sky. And thank you so much. Hope you have a great week.